had to remember that you had to love yourself first. How can you expect someone to love you so deep, so hard, if you're not loving yourself? It doesn't make sense. But now I remember how magnificent I am. I remember that I am the creator of my life with my thought. What are the things that you are still doing now that you know you should have stopped doing a year ago, 2 years ago? Who are the people that you still keep entertaining right now when you know they are sucking your energy? But they are only sucking your energy because you are co-signing the contract, you see? There is no sin. But if there was one, it would be the fact that so many people are still experiencing their life on earth through the lessons from other people. Maybe it's your case, maybe it's the case of your brother or your sister. But the question that I want you to ask yourself right now is, whose life are you living right now? What are the expectations that you're trying to fulfill with this life experience? How old are you? In your 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe even more. But somehow it might be that the goals that you've been going after are not even yours, given to you by your parents, by your teachers, by your neighbors. And along the way, you've been accumulating this sense of not being fulfilled, not understanding what you're doing. You see, throughout your life, you have your personal experience, and through those experiences, you discover or you create who you really are. The issue is when we hold on to the stories, to the wisdom from other people, and we do everything we can to stick to those lessons when they were never ours to carry. And I cannot sit here saying that to you without talking about my own experience. You see, when I came to Belgium, the goal was to be an automation engineer. And I remember at the time, it's not even me who chose my study. People were telling me, given the way you speak, I think marketing would be good, or just become an accountant. But the thing is, since my brother was already doing automation and he was able to get me an inscription at his school, I ended up doing automation. So you see, I was on a path for my own life, but I wasn't even the one driving, or at least I wasn't the one who put the address in the GPS. But I ended up spending 5 years driving towards that destination. And along the way, I kept receiving signals, messages, signs telling me this destination is actually not yours. But do you think that I understood it right away? Of course not. I mean, I was driving, I was a driver, therefore I owned the car, the GPS, and the destination. But I can remember back in 2012 when I started getting the message that maybe photography is the way to go. But at that time, what I did is I ended up looking for all the reasons why photography wouldn't make sense. And so for the next 24 months, I stayed on track of becoming an engineer. But I'm just going to fast forward everything. I ended up being a wedding photographer, and I shot almost 200 weddings in 9 countries. But you see, if when the vision came back in 2012, I acted on the vision as soon as it came, potentially I would have had a different trajectory. But the way things happen is because they were supposed to happen like that for me to create myself this way. Now I'm a spiritual life coach, and this is the address that I am now putting in my GPS, and I am the driver. Now, can you imagine how the process is? Can you imagine how, what's the word for that? Like this whole process, the way it is uncovering what I'm learning about who I am. Most importantly, how I'm creating myself. It is one of the most profound experiences that I ever had. So, you know, this thing of always being conscious about what you're doing or not doing, what you're being or not being, what you're saying or not saying. I never reached a point in my life where the words that I use are meticulously chosen, because I know now that I create my life with my words, with my thoughts, with my actions. And today I came here at the co-working space with a clear intention to write my daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals. But I was like, what is the one thing that, you know, that is actually moving the needle in my business? What is that one thing? And for me, it's actually making videos. So how can I go then one day without making a video? Okay, I understand today I'm going to write the plan and do everything that I need to do. But I cannot go a day without making a video because people discover me through my videos. And it is this purpose that I want to share with you in the video. This is not something given to me consciously by my parents. This is not something that a neighbor or a teacher told me, oh, I think it would be nice for you if you do this. This is something that I felt inside. Matter of fact, as I was still on my course to, you know, being a photographer and then coach other photographers or coach wedding planners or whatever I had in mind, it wasn't coming from that inner knowing. It wasn't. But this path, completely. So I want you to ask yourself today, whether you're at work, maybe it's your break, maybe you're unemployed right now, maybe you're a stay-at-home dad, stay-at-home mom, whatever, to really ask yourself, what are you going after? Like when you're going to look back at your life in 40, 50 years, what are the things that you're really going to be proud of because you would know that you consciously chose everything, that you consciously put the address in your GPS, and wherever you arrived, at 80 years old, 90, 100, that you are actually proud of it? What are the things that you are still doing now that you know you should have stopped doing a year ago, 2 years ago? Who are the people that you still keep entertaining right now when you know they are sucking your energy? But they are only sucking your energy because you are co-signing the contract, you see? Maybe you're gaining some kind of validation when you're spending time with them. Maybe they are helping you feel some type of way, I don't know. But the thing is, you already know everything because you're always observing yourself. This is one of the greatest power that human beings have, but we keep misusing it. That every single second of the day, we are not only living our life, but you are always observing ourselves, living our life. And that's why whenever you are outside, walking past a beggar, asking you for money, you are at the same time observing yourself and your thoughts. Know that feeling? When the beggar is begging, and then first you want to give the money, but then you start thinking, oh, I didn't receive my paycheck, or why should I give him money? But your first instinct was to give 5, 10, 20 euros. And now a few seconds later, you find yourself 100 meters after the beggar. And now you're like, oh, it's too late. I cannot go back. But your first instinct was to give the money. And this whole process, you're always observing it. And the same happens, whether it's at work, when you have a difficult relationship with your manager, with your colleague, you're always observing everything that is happening. Therefore, at every single moment, you know exactly what to do in order to stay in your power, because you are powerful. You are powerful. It doesn't matter what's happening now in your life or what is not happening. It is still you misusing your power. So if you see me making these videos, because I used to not use my power properly. I used to give it away easily to people because I created a pedestal and I put them on it. But now I remember how magnificent I am. I remember that I am the creator of my life with my thoughts. Whenever you catch yourself thinking long enough about things that you don't want to experience, I want you to understand that that's what you're creating at that moment. And then when it ends up happening, what do you say? I knew it. Of course you knew it because you created it. So now I want you to consciously scan your body every single time. Whenever you feel like you're feeling a sad emotion, a negative emotion, take it as a feedback. It is your inner self telling you, hey, what you are focusing on right now, we never focus on that. So please, can you plug yourself literally on a positive thought? Can you plug your mind on a positive thought right now? Because you're going to see the second you're going to plug yourself on a positive thought, you're going to feel positive energy in yourself. Like, as human beings, we are so powerful that the second we are all going to get the memo, you're not even going to believe what's happening. I don't care if it's hard with your mom, with your dad, with your husband, with your wife. It is you doing that. It's never them. You created a version of them so that you can understand what's happening within yourself now. But since you keep missing the memo, since you keep missing the message, well, you recreate it again and again and again and again. Think about your life right now. Think about every single thing that you're living right now. I'm talking about the positive stuff. There was a moment where you were afraid of this. You used to think it wasn't possible. You used to think only other people could live this life. And now look at you. You are living this life effortlessly. Don't you see that? Don't you see that? Because you had to understand that you are powerful. You had to remember who you really are. Therefore, whatever is the thing that you're looking forward to experience, stop stressing about it, because the more you stress, the more you recreate the same stuff, the same experience, but slightly different. But if instead you plug yourself on a positive thought long enough, and you remember your creatorship, I can guarantee you that you're going to get there. Why? Because I got here. I got here. And you got wherever you are. 5 years ago, it was completely different. Remember those nights? Sad, crying in your bed, wondering why life is the way it is. Look where you are now. Remember when you used to wonder, where's the lover? Why people don't love you? But you had to remember that you had to love yourself first. How can you expect someone to love you so deep, so hard, if you're not loving yourself? It doesn't make sense. You wouldn't even be able to recognize love if someone would come and love you if you don't love yourself. So everything starts with you. Everything. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who was at my wedding, and because 2 nights ago around 3 a.m. when I went to bed, you know when you go to bed and often you think about what you ate the day before, or the conversations that you had? Well, all of a sudden I just found myself in my childhood neighborhood. I was there, but it's not a thought that I reached to, that I was just transported there. And then something told me, call your friend, that was at my wedding. And you know, sometimes those ideas, those thoughts, those visions comes and then we minimize them and we say, oh, I'm going to do it later, but then you forget. So I texted my friend at 3 a.m. saying, hey, I just saw you in my dream, so I'm going to call you tomorrow. So the next day, the following hours, I called him. And he went on to tell me one of the most difficult time that he's going through right now in his life. And he just thought about calling me during the week, but he also discarded himself from doing that. So he thought it was funny that I sensed him in my dream. We went on and had one of the most profound conversations that I ever had with him. And basically what I did was listening and asking questions. And do you know what I ended up telling to him? The same stuff that I just told you in this video. The same stuff, because spirituality is really simple. Everything starts with you. You gotta love yourself. Everything starts with you. You create your life. When people do things that you do not like, you have to question yourself. What is the version of yourself that still need those people in your life? And today when I woke up, I saw a message of him saying, thank you for the call yesterday. After our call, I ended up releasing energy for 45 minutes, 1 hour. I felt really tired, but today I'm charged. Well, my friend is not as vulnerable as I am, so through his message, I understood that he cried for 45 minutes and 1 hour. But why am I sharing that to you? It's because sometimes we think being strong is the only way to go. I gotta stay strong. And we need to develop the ability to ask for help and to understand that no man or woman is an island. That's why we live in community. That's why we have conversations. That's why we have interactions. But your life is not gonna change if you refuse to change. This is actually the main topic of this video. Your life is not going to change if you refuse to change. And some of the things that you receive from your parents and that you're still holding on to right now are not serving you, and they will not serve you because they are not your truth. They are the truth of your parents. Your own experience is bringing to you your truth. If you feel called to work with me during a one-on-one session, you can check the link in the description. I now still offer introduction call for free. You can also check my 8-week challenge, where every single week for 8 weeks you receive an email to help you install a new habit. And I remember what I wanted to say when I told the story of my friend, because at some point I was like, why did I even bring this story? Well, this is why. Because my friend has big dreams, big ambition, right? And when I actually checked on his habits, I saw that, okay, his habits were not that solid. So I remember that sentence that said, you do not rise to the level of your ambition, you fall to the level of your habits. So my question for you is, in this journey of changing your life, what are the things that you're doing every single day that if we were to look at your life as if it was a movie, we will immediately see how those habits are actually painting the picture of the man or the woman that you are becoming? And I'm really being serious. If we look at your past 7 days, what are we going to see as habit? Is it waking up, taking a shit, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, eating, what else? Drinking a Coca-Cola, smoking. What are the things that we're going to see all the time? So I want you to install meditation, reading a book, preferably a spiritual book, talking to yourself in front of the mirror, using positive affirmations, sentence starting with I am beautiful, I am starting to believe that I'm beautiful, I am amazing, I am starting to believe that I am amazing. Those are the sentences that you want to implement every single day. You want to hear them. You want to give them to yourself as a gift, and then you're going to see what's going to happen. Thank you.